Okay. I have no clue if you guys can see me. I have no clue if you can hear me. But if you can, let me know. To put something in the chat that says this is live. Because please, God, tell me you can hear me. Pablo will be with us momentarily. But until then, okay, you guys can see me, you can hear me. I will have you know that Christian was interrupted while packing for his honeymoon to fix this whole todo estaba, era un revolú is all I can say. What's up, everybody in the chat? You guys are the absolute best for sticking around. It is 1:21. For those of you listening right now as a podcast, you have no idea what happened. But let me tell you something. It was complete pandemonium over here. My name is Alexis Guerreros. Christian is on his honeymoon. I cannot do this without him. Oh, my God. You know what? You find a new level of respect for how much work somebody does when they're not around, It's insane to me that we have a tech person and for some reason, he decides to go away on his honeymoon. Really, really rude. Pablo is here. I'm going to bring him in. Of course, this isn't working now. Hold on. Let's see if that works. Pablo?
Steve Jobs over here.
Hold
Finally got it worked out.
For some reason, I don't hear you. Why would I? Is your audio on?
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't hear you. So why would this? I'm going to hit refresh on this. Let's see if this works. No. God damn it. Yeah, you can hear him. How is that supposed to help me, though? If I can't hear him. Let's see. Audio source. AirPods. Everything is.
How old is this guy? This is crazy.
Christ. You had to leave, didn't you? You had to leave, Pablo. Jesus Christ. I honestly. Well, you can't be muted in that because then I wouldn't be able to hear you. I'm going to have to restart all of this all over again.
This is an instant classic.
Mic
right
check
here.
1, 2, 3. Why would I? Audio settings. Yeah, none of that helps me one bit. I'm going to hit reload on this. Oh, wait a minute. I think I figured it out. Talk to me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3. Is this funny to anybody else? Can you hear me, Pablo?
I can hear you.
Hey, okay, we got him. Okay, you know what? I'm never doing this again. I want you to all know. From now on, I will never do this again. I do not want any part of it. So look, you guys are getting a real view in the back. This is where the show will begin in 3, 2. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Cooligans. This has gone completely smoothly. By the way, everyone in the chat is really entertained with the fact that it's taking me now 23 minutes to A, make this work, and B, work again. And you want to know what the issue was? I had you muted in my in the system we're using. So
I feel like I just watched my grandparents set their VCR clock.
You know
it's
what?
Ridiculous.
I once took my mother to the Apple store so that she could have her one-on-one class, and watching her figure out she can touch anywhere on the screen and it would recognize it is very similar to probably how you felt just now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good to be with you. I'm happy you finally got this working.
Okay. Well,
it's been a couple hours, so let's do this.
I've had an absolutely insane day. You've had a very busy day so far. You just dropped an insane article. Harvey Soto says, give Polanco a raise. Okay, well, I will double his money of $0. We're independent folks. Follow that Patreon. You've had a busy day so far. Look, we're going to talk about MLS and Apple TV. And then we'll talk about the article that you dropped, but I know you've been getting phone calls left and right, texts left and right. I read it this morning, an absolute insane article. If you guys haven't, please go to The Athletic after this show. And then check it out. It's about a one of the World Cup stars from the second World Cup, right? Because he didn't
34.
make the
Yep.
first squad. A guy by the name of Wee Willie McLean, Scottish-born American, who I guess just disappeared. What made you want to write this article?
I mean, it's COVID, and I was like, I have a notebook of just sort of obscure story ideas, and that thing was getting pretty thin because we hadn't had any soccer for like a few months, you know. So I told Matt Pence, former athletic writer, I said, let's dig into like some real archaic shit, like 19, and everybody like the 1930 guys are really well known because it was the first World Cup. The 1950 guys are really well known because they beat England, game of their lives or whatever. 34 US teams never really talked about. So we just started going down the roster one by one, and we just got to Wee Willie's Wikipedia page, and it literally just ended. I mean, it just said, he played the 34 World Cup and then just disappeared in 1938, was never heard from again. So I mean, if
That's
you
when
have
all
any
the Pablo Maurer juices start to go
oh
crazy.
oh yeah, it was at least like had a semi, if not a full on story erection. You know what I mean? So immediately obviously got to work. Yeah, it turned into like a 2-year long sort of obsession that still really isn't even over. I mean, like you said, I just got a call from one of Willie's family members sort of talking my ear off about stuff. So
Bro, the funny thing is you didn't tell a story. You just uncovered a bunch of information, and there's still so much more. By the way, we're being told Morgan Tenza says Pablo and Alexis are a dangerous duo. I agree. I would just say switch the names. You know what I mean? Alexis and Pablo. Also, Andrew Johnson is adding something to the conversation, saying, "Pablo, do you want a 2003 Jetta?" I feel like it's not old enough. You know,
yeah.
I feel like if it was a 1983, you'd be all over it. You know.
What about a Mark One Golf, first generation VW Golf, good looking car.
I had one.
That I would take.
I had a 1984 Volkswagen Golf GTI, and
Ooh,
it was a
what?
absolute piece of garbage. Yeah, I towed it in.
Yeah.
I towed it in from Long Island. I was going to rebuild it with Euro bumpers and Euro lights, and I was going to put a 1.8T in it and the whole nine. And I got so far as to scraping my knuckles while trying to remove one of the 35 bolts that holds the front seat. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm done with this thing. I also had a lot of fun burning all the cobwebs in it, and then I sold it. Anyway, that's it. Look, I want to talk a little bit more about Willie McLean. You heard a little bit of a teaser about it. It's an absolute insane story. I don't know how much you can really reveal on the podcast because I'm sure The Athletic wants everyone to go to The Athletic and check it out, but it is an absolute insane story. I'm going to get to that in a second. Let's talk a little bit about the news that just dropped. MLS is signing on with Apple TV Plus. First impressions.
I mean, first impressions is it's wild money compared to what I thought they would get. I mean, I think you're saying it'd probably be worth 250 mil a year or something like that. Now Apple TV is getting every single MLS game period, even the ones that will be broadcast by ESPN, Fox, whoever ends up with whatever small little chunk of trash linear rights that they put out there. But it's
Because
a
that's
lot
the
of money,
first thing
man.
to note is this is a digital streaming only deal. There is no
Yeah.
linear TV for Apple
But
TV
it
for
is
them.
all encompassing. It's like every single one of their games, basically. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. I mean, I think it's good. I have like some concerns, I think, in reading the release. MLS is said to be kind of like centralizing the production of this stuff, which other leagues already do. But I don't know what that
I
means
know
for
Bundesliga does that.
yeah. I don't know what that means for like some of MLS has some decent local talent that calls games. Obviously, there are markets like here in DC where somebody like Dave Johnson is kind of an institution. I don't know what it means for that crop of guys. Somebody told me just before the meeting here that I think MLS is going to have like 6 or 8 or 10 broadcast teams that call all the games. So I think a lot of people will probably be out of work. um, so those things concern me. But I mean, on the surface, man, it's like if it's relatively inexpensive, it's sort of a slam dunk. If you're an MLS fan, you know.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the local packages. I mean, look, hopefully there's an opportunity for some of the local teams to at least maybe show some of those matches, maybe like those national blackout, sort of deals. Isn't that kind of still how that
No
would work?
blackouts apparently on this deal, man. I mean, it's literally every MLS game.
Okay,
You
well,
know?
look, there is a positive there in the sense that it's so frustrating that I can't watch NYCFC matches when I'm away from New York because my stream still counts as in the black. It's so
Yeah, it's a huge
frustrating.
positive. I think the deal is by and large. I mean, if you're an MLS consumer and your life is largely digital, like any of ours are, this one caught me off guard. I think it's good. I think they got way more money than I thought they would, and I think it's like a product that a lot of people already use. I mean, you're going to have to pay. It's not part of Apple TV, so I mean, you have to pay whatever it is, $60, $70, $80, whatever the thing ends up being for the whole season. So I mean, I don't know, man. I'm encouraged. I just
Wait,
sort of
hold
like,
on. I didn't read this. This is not a part of Apple TV. This is a premium on top of that.
yeah, yep. As far as I know, yeah, for sure.
How? How is that? There might be a few matches that will be made available, right, to the public for
Yeah,
free, right, each week. You would assume
I don't know.
so.
I have no idea. I mean, it's look, man. I pay for an ESPN subscription, right? I have the cable channel. I still have to pay ESPN Plus to get the streaming component of that. I mean,
But ESPN Plus is an all-encompassing sports. It's
yeah,
like
I
a
mean,
wide.
look, I think the league and Apple are looking at this as like a standalone kind of like revenue generator. But I think if say they're paying $250 million a year for this, they're going to have to sell a lot of subscriptions at 50, 60, 70, whatever it ends up being. I mean, it's millions and millions of subscriptions, I mean, I don't know that market's really there even. My suspicion, Alexis, is that like Apple's made of money. It's just like another product they can kind of add to their arsenal. Probably does them, well, publicity wise, and it's sort of part of their broader package. And maybe it's like a loss leader kind of thing for them. Because for that money, I just don't know that they're going to make. Also, maybe they're counting on Messi coming though. You know what I mean? Something like
Yeah,
that.
I feel like the
Like,
messy thing is probably what is inspiring a lot of this.
yeah,
You would assume, but okay. So I'm hearing that season ticket holders will get a
mhm.
lower price.
It's
DJ saying
free.
it's only $4. Okay, so free if you have season tickets, which is great
Yeah,
because I have season tickets. It's only $4, which is great. But I mean, I think people aren't considering the leap it takes for the average fan. Usually, you'd want a casual fan to find the game and then maybe, kind of like what they see and then become a bigger fan. It's a big leap for someone who doesn't know the product to all of a sudden pay $4. But I am seeing a lot of people in the chat are saying some of the games will be made available. Crimson Pizza says some matches included to Apple TV Plus and all matches included with additional subscription.
okay,
Okay.
so Apple Plus subscribers will get X number of games, just
You're
not
right,
all of
like
them.
game of the week or something, or like whatever the big highlight. This isn't too dissimilar to ESPN, right? You have
That's
a
what I'm
couple.
saying, man.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not discouraged by this. I mean, like it's not a ton of money and it's like a good product. I mean, I'm pretty happy with like everything I own that Apple makes, so it's like I think it'll do well. We'll see though. Who
The only thing
knows?
I don't like
MLS.
that Apple makes is the Apple Watch. Like, you don't have to tell me that my blood pressure's up, bro. I know it. That's why I'm eating these Doritos. Okay.
I don't have one of those, man. Exactly. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to have like an obesity monitor on my thing, at
Buddy,
all
it's the last
times.
thing you and I need is something remind. It's like there's a reason I don't walk around with a mirror in front of me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
whoever called us a dangerous duo is talking about heart disease, I think. Yeah. It's just
Or
like,
our inability to fit in any theme park ride. Um,
yeah, exactly.
250 million a year. And I think Morgan Tenza said, meanwhile, NWSL only gets 1 million. But we went up from, I believe the last deal was 90 million a year.
Mhm.
This is over 2.5x what the
It's
previous deal was.
it's wild, man, and the games haven't gotten any better, so I have no idea what they're doing. It's like, I mean,
Also,
for what,
there aren't two and a
It
half
is.
more
Look,
times more
there are
people watching.
more teams, more games. You know what I mean? Like the size of the product has grown, obviously. Like and again, I mean, I suspect a lot of this is probably like, um, I think some of it at least is Messi related. I swear to God, you know what I mean? Like, because that's going to be the biggest thing that's ever happened in the league. Period. I'm sorry, and I'm
No, it
sure it
will.
was. Yeah, exactly. So it's like I'm sure that was a selling point of this too. So I don't know. Tommy Mac alone can't sell subscriptions, unfortunately. So,
He's close enough, but
yeah.
if only there was like 7 Tommy Macs, then I think you'd be good. Is
Yeah.
this something that would be good for the Canadian Premier League, though? Says Aaron Hooper. You know what? I've enjoyed the Canadian Premier League matches that I've watched. I'm wondering, looking down the line, because a 10-year deal is pretty aggressive. That also covers Emma. They're also going to get the supposed World Cup bump after the World Cup is in Canada, U.S., and Mexico. I mean, this is a big. I wonder these deals in your time covering the sport. Is this something where, they just put out an RFP, or is this something where MLS might have approached Apple and had to sell its product, or is it the
Yeah,
reverse?
I mean, we'll see. I'm sure that story will emerge in the next day or two. I know at The Athletic, we have a couple people working on it right now. But no, I mean, MLS has actively shopped its rights for the past year or two. When they talked to everybody from Amazon, all the national broadcasters. I know factually that they talked to ESPN, that ESPN made them an offer that was actually less than what they paid last go around for the streaming package and of whatever X number of linear games a year. So that didn't get anywhere. So I don't know. I mean, obviously MLS has been aggressive about this. It's one of their, along with expansion fees, it's their primary source of income, league wide, is the media rights deal is, so no, I mean, I would be very surprised if Apple approached MLS. Doesn't mean that it wasn't good business. I mean, I think normally but I don't think MLS is on anybody's prom date list in that way. You know what I mean? They're not getting courted, whatever.
Yeah. They weren't being chased. There was the other way around. And I like when Nicole Hack said, she says, the bummer is not being able to walk into a bar and having them turn on the game without them having Apple TV Plus. So great. Also,
it's hard enough to get them to turn on a game on television at this point.
Tell me about it. They always put
the ultimate,
TV.
It's the most embarrassing thing you could possibly do as a human being is walk into a bar and be like, hey, turn this Houston Dynamo game on. Whatever.
Yeah. I really need to see the Houston Dynamo versus the Vancouver Whitecaps. Is there a possibility? Exactly. You could turn that on here in New York. I do think also, can we get to the point, as for anyone who owns a bar and is listening, can we just get to the point where I could cast it from my phone?
Yeah.
How have we not gotten to that point yet? As opposed to your bartender who's ill-equipped to find the channel, just constantly scrolling through the guide.
Yeah, I mean, this coming from a man who tried to start a stream for 30 minutes. I'm not sure I'd really trust you.
If I could cast this for my phone. By the way, for everyone listening to this as a podcast doesn't know that, okay? So maybe don't help me. You know what I mean? Look, you can see me, you can hear me, I can see you and hear you. They can hear both of us. The fact that it only took 23 minutes is, might I add, impressive if you're grading me on a curve.
Right, no, it's all good.
If Cafe Olympico in Montreal was showing DAZN and One Soccer with Canadian Premier League on screens when I walk in, I'm also sure places can get this. Yeah, Canada different though. Try to convince someone in Kansas City to put on. Well, maybe they actually support their team. Yeah, Houston is probably a big one. Try to convince someone in Houston to put it on. You might have trouble. I use my personal logins at the brewery I work in and stream them at the projector in the back for people, says Bailey Brown. Yeah, but
oh my God, call the FBI. Call the FBI. Can't be doing that.
Bailey Brown is a legend, though. Also, yeah, that is technically illegal.
Yeah, haven't you did you grow up being traumatized by I used to watch Major League Baseball games. There was always that disclaimer that made it sound like they were going to call the FBI on you. You know, this broadcast without the express written consent of Major League Baseball, you can't reproduce this. That was an early terrorized.
Oh, yeah, it was just I remember that.
It's trying to record Red Sox games on my VCR. I thought there was going to be a SWAT team busting through the door at any moment.
LK Chug says Alexis is the bartender in his story. I'm the one who can't find the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm on the phone with Christian. I'm like, I know you don't work at this bar, but can you just tell me? Nothing as a young man. Nothing made me more rock hard than watching a bootleg movie that had a "do not bootleg this movie" alert at the beginning. Dude, it felt like you were breaking the law twice. It was so amazing.
Yeah.
Shouts to everybody who watched. What are they called? They used to be called shit cams. Remember that? Someone would bring a camcorder into the movie.
Oh yeah, I never got into those, man. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
I would download them early days of Kazaa or Napster or whatever. You get bootleg movies, and they very clearly would be from a camcorder.
Someone would get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the movie.
Exactly. Right.
Come on.
Right.
I think the fire might pay streaming services at their partner bars could be wrong though, says Nicole Hack. Yeah, see, we got some real like MLS like heads in
Well,
here.
bro, like what Nicole just said, I'll put that to you right now, and it would be like whatever MLS team is not doing that. That is a massive failure. What does that cost you? Each bar is probably a couple $100, whatever it is. I don't know what the commercial sort of licensing fee for that is, but like if MLS teams aren't spending the $2,500, whatever it ends up being for like their 10, 15 partner bars, those that have those to stream the games, that's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like be like malpractice. So hopefully people are doing that.
It's a
It's
great
good to
idea.
fire.
I didn't know that there was a different price. I do know in England, if you're watching a game at a bar, there's like a little pint in the corner of the like a little sort of see-through pint. And I asked once, I go, what does that mean? They're like, if like a whatever, an inspector kind of person walked in and they saw the game on and it didn't have that little pint, they knew you didn't pay the business price.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can just legally stream like a normal ass streaming service at a bar for public consumption, but I could be wrong. And I'm sure there's plenty of places that are doing it. I don't think there's like that. I don't think the MLS police are out there yet, like knocking on doors. Like Dan Quartermont just walks in with exactly like, Don, I found it. I'm at the Pug in Washington, DC, and they're streaming the whatever,
We fucking got him.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like,
I would love to see Dan Quartermanch and Don Garber as a buddy cop movie. Somehow we need to see that. Also, here's what I said to the guy who owned the bar. I go, you know what you could do? You could just go to a printing shop and have them print out a little pint in a transparency and just put it up. And the guy looked at me like, I could just pay the fee. And I go, but if you didn't want to, I just figured out.
Yeah, but then it's like that. If they come in and they find you doing that, it becomes like a felony or something.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like you can't even play stupid. You got to, you know what I mean? Like
no, I could say like, oh, the last bartender did that and we fired him.
All right, there you go. You thought about this way too much.
What are you gonna do? No. I'm just really good at this part of it. I'm just really good at getting out of the this situation. MLS.
Dude, most of my streaming services, my entire like visual life has been set up by like the logins of ex-girlfriends. You know what I mean? Like,
so
any of my subscriptions could be canceled at any moment because I don't pay for any of them.
So if you put on like HBO Max and it doesn't work, you'd be like, I wonder what Stacy's doing.
Yeah, or you could just be like, oh, cool. Like Jen watched, The Wire or whatever. I don't know. Like,
my HBO Max is my old neighbor's wife's account that she gave us. And for some reason, it's just stayed on. It's like saved on my phone. And even though I have it, I just have never changed the set. So every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, she's watching, Curb Your Enthusiasm again. I should reach out to my old neighbors and see how they're doing. From across the hall.
Yeah. No, it's like the last vestige of like early 30s male or late 20s male irresponsibility I can't let go of. Like my mattress is no longer on the floor. I'm proud to report that's a step.
Wait, what's it on though? Milk crates, or did you get like a box spring?
No, it's on I went directly from my late 20s to my elder life. I have an adjustable bed frame. Right.
Oh wow. Was Sleep Number joint?
No, it's not Sleep Number, but it does like if you snore, it'll like tilt the thing up a little bit automatically. It'll like keep you,
Yeah.
It's an iBed type of deal, But the subscriptions, man, I'm not paying for them. I don't know why, because they're like $4, and I go to a bar and just drop like $60 on a bar tab, like it's nothing. But I'm like, man, I can't do ESPN Plus. I can't do X, Y, and Z thing. Like
Carlos Slim says next step for you, sleeves.
Fuck you, Carlos. All right, it's not gonna happen.
Carlos, just dig deep with that one. It comes with your season ticket membership, says Lex. No, we've covered that. It's exciting news all around. 250 million. My biggest fear for something like this is that step that it takes to gain fandom or fans is someone casually. It takes me back to I went to a pub in New York called Blondie's, famous for their wings on West 79th Street. They also it was 2 rooms, and it was literally filled with TVs, and they all had numbers underneath them, and they had this big media board that they could switch. So every NFL weekend on Sundays, people would get reservations. They'd be there 3 hours in advance, and it'd be like, all right, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, watch TV number 58. If you're, a Chargers fan, watch TV number 72. And you would see fans of all different games all crowded around this bar, all watching their respective TV. It was a lot of fun. There was one tiny TV over by that media board that they sometimes use as a monitor to make sure the channels worked. I walk in, Arsenal is playing. It's at night. There's not that many people in there, but it's also a Northwest bar. So there's a lot of people in there that had just finished watching the Northwestern game. And I asked, yo, can you put on the Arsenal versus Reading? At that time, I believe it was the Carling Cup match. I don't know if it was Carabao Cup yet. And they were like, yeah, sure. There was not that many people in there, and they still put me on that little TV. So I'm watching on the little TV. 2 or 3 seats away from me is a guy who's a Barcelona fan who was like, hey, can you put that game in front of my TV as well? So he switches it to the 2 TV so now I can watch on a bigger TV. Before you know it, this is like that famous 7-5 match that went to like 2 extra times. Yeah. But by the end of the match, the whole bar is watching. People were coming in, realizing people were watching. They're like, who are we rooting for? And they'd all be like, who's that guy like again? I'm like, the red team. And they're like, everybody starts watching the red team. It's absolute bananas. Theo Walcott's going back and forth. At the end of the match, people are going absolutely insane. I'm going nuts. I'm late for dinner with my wife. The guy, one of the big guys who was like the alpha of his group, looked over at me and goes, hey, man, is every Arsenal match like this? And I just look at him and I go, yeah. And I walk away. I hope that man now is still an Arsenal fan going, what the hell is going on?
Bro, here's something I missed. I don't think it's in a release, but Doug Roberson from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution just tweeted, starting in 2023, every MLS midweek game will be played on Wednesday, and every weekend game will be on Saturday night, and there will be a whip-around show. And I'm not going to front, the whip-around show really speaks to me. Like, I don't, if you saw Futbol Americas did with the Open Cup, I mean, something like that is just like kind of the ideal way to consume this content.
It's like a red zone for everyone else.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know what the MLS one will be called or whatever, but I like that idea, and I like the standardization of the scheduling for sure, like, because I genuinely just never know when anybody's playing at this point. So.
Did they say Saturday night or just Saturday?
Saturday night.
Ugh.
Yeah.
As a comic, that hurts.
Every week. Oh, yeah, man. Well.
You mean the biggest pay night? Great. Thanks. Thanks.
Well, it should be a pretty easy choice for you then, man. I mean,
Oh, God.
Been doing a lot of late sets at this point. Sure.
Yeah. I'll be there at midnight. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Maybe it can't be. There's got to be some noon starts.
Maybe they just realize that any of us who watch MLS have no social life.
That's got to be
just,
it.
You know what I mean? They're like, look, let's fully acknowledge that all these people are losers. And you will spend your weekend nights with us anyways.
Yeah.
Don't act like you have something to do. We own you.
If you live underground, you get it for $2 a month, which is kind of cool.
Right. Have specials, cool. Like I know things are tight. You're living with your mom in the basement.
Yeah.
Special basement discount, $1.50.
I heard that if you show a receipt of you buying a bed frame, they'll give you it for free just because they're proud of you.
It's like proud off the growth. Like Don Garber will send you a cameo style thing that says, "This is great growth. I know a thing or two about growing the league. This is great personal growth for you. Congratulations on your bed frame, Pablo, and have a nice day."
Pablo would be amazing.
Nobody ever gets it right, so whatever.
Nicole Heck says, "No social life. Speaking for yourself." You know what it is? It's those of us who love MLS are now going to find ourselves out at something dope, staring at our phones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to be at a comedy club being like, can the guy in front of me stretch for 5 minutes? Because we're about to go to penalties. You know what I mean? Something important like that. I wonder.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to reveal something on this show right now that only one person in the entire world knows. All right. I was driving to a DC United game once with Seth Vertelny, who now runs Pro Soccer Wire, USA Today's new soccer vertical. And we were, I just had my phone on the center console and it was streaming MLS game. I wasn't really watching it. He was watching it. It was on the Bluetooth so I could hear it, right? So I'm in this, it's like 85 Corvette. I'm driving down Franklin Road, Northeast in DC. And all of a sudden, I don't remember what game it was. All of a sudden, something like kind of dramatic happens. I look down at the TV for a second, or my iPhone for a second. I look back up and I get on my brakes and I rear-ended somebody at like 3 miles per hour.
Oh
basically.
My God.
Front of my car goes under their car. This woman gets out of her car. She's 14 years old, has no driver's license, and has like 2 kids just unbuckled in the back seat, right? Like, and I'm just like,
this is the car you just rear-ended?
Yep. Yeah. So it was lucky for me in a way, in that everybody was fine. It was a pretty low speed thing. My car was effed up because it's made of fiberglass and close to the ground. But she was totally fine, and it was good for me because she also was just like, I'm gonna leave before the cops get here.
Yeah.
So there was no exchange of insurance paperwork or anything like that. But I can honestly say that yes, I did like rear end the car of a 14-year-old woman and her 2 children because I was like glancing at MLS highlights on my phone in the car.
Which, by the way, no judge would believe.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like, "You were
exactly.
watching
Nobody
porn."
watches that.
Yeah,
Come
you were
on.
watching porn, you
Yeah.
pervert.
Exactly.
Tell the
right.
truth.
MLS might be more embarrassing. I don't know. You know?
People are asking, how is this different? Sebastian says, how's this different than ESPN Plus? I think from everything we've heard now, it seems like they're going to do a lot more shoulder programming attached to it, which is huge. And that's a big part. You know, one of the things that's most frustrating about an MLS match is the final whistle blows and they're like, what a great game. You know, that was a 3-2 stunner. Goodbye, everybody. And you're like, what? And now all of a sudden starts the repeat of a soap opera or something.
Yeah, Columbo or something like that. Yeah.
You hear the MASH theme and you're like, what the hell is going on? I'm still hyped. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's always the thing, though. Is they're always like, there's going to be a coach's show, an X, Y, and Z thing. I mean, here in DC United said this for a decade. Like every time they renew the rights deal, it's like there's going to be all these other shows. It never happens. I don't know how much fans care. I think, I mean, a big difference, obviously, is a centralized production. I mean, all these games are going to be produced from the same place by the same, 5, 6, whatever, commentary teams. I mean, I think there's a huge opportunity for the league to like standardize its product in a good way. I think, man, if you look at the local MLS broadcasts, I don't think it's even remotely controversial to say this. They vary wildly in quality, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, for example, and I'm not just saying this because you're an NYCFC stan. Great local team, great production quality, right? It's like, I know, dude, whatever. Anyways, like, yeah, get that money. Anyways, like, but you go to some other market. Yeah, you get to go to, DC is like kind of the middle somewhere, decent quality, but they could definitely invest more. And then there's some local MLS broadcasts that are just honestly embarrassingly bad. And though the numbers are never released publicly, I can tell you this much, man. There are MLS markets where those numbers for MLS games are in the low tens of thousands. I'm talking like 15 to 20,000 viewers, right? So, I mean, like, this does make sense. If they can standardize a product and make it better, it makes sense.
So I agree with you in the sense that, yeah, it will having a unified front as far as what the production of it looks like, is that a good idea? Of course. I want to give a shout out to, I don't know who does it with her, Jordan Angeli and some other person does the Columbus Crew. They put in incredible work for the Columbus Crew matches. It looks incredible. It looks super high quality. I'm not going to name other names. I've been in markets where I'm watching and I'm like, are they even trying, dude? This is this looks like an intern put on the additional shirts and ties for someone else. Like the clothes don't even fit right. They don't know what they're doing. Orlando, I think, does an incredible job. Orlando City, I've seen some of their stuff. But yeah, I mean, it will be good to sort of, equalize it across the board and make it look good. But how does this help other people watch it? That's my biggest concern as an MLS.
It's just, I don't know how, look, I don't know how much value there is in like what the other thing you're describing here, the sort of like flipping through the channels, the game's on, you start watching it, you're like, huh. Like, I'm gonna tell you something, like that is an unquantifiable thing. And I think in the same way there's inconsistency amongst MLS's broadcast teams, there's wild inconsistency in the quality of play between these teams. I mean, they feared a local. I mean, I just don't know that a huge driver for new fans in MLS right now is like the casual viewer. Now, you might get people that are like EPL fans or like, they support other leagues globally. They're like, oh, maybe I'll watch an MLS game, right? Or maybe I'll go to one. Like, yeah, you might lose them if they don't have an Apple Plus subscription, because but I don't know. I mean, it's just like, I'm sure MLS has done the market research on all this, but I've always been of the opinion that like the just happen to be flipping through the channels kind of viewer is like probably at this point kind of a dinosaur sort of like way of thinking,
And it's not to me the idea of let's just flip through the channels. I think more importantly than that is, someone who is casually starting to get interested in the league and then decides, no, I'm going to give it a look. And now there's all of a sudden a pay barrier. I mean, we're starting to see that maybe that isn't the case, that they could watch.
I mean, I will say you're right about that. It's like when you have this little spark of interest, all it takes is the smallest obstacle to keep you from like getting into it.
You know how many times I've had friends that have worked incredibly hard on a piece of something, whether it's like a film or an article or something, and they'll send it to me and say, "Hey, like I'm in a contest. You know, can you click on this link and upvote it?" And I do, and it's like, in order to register your vote, you have to give me your email. And I'm like, you know what, buddy, you're gonna lose this one. You know, if you lose it by one, it was because I didn't want to give these people my email. You know, I don't want. You know what I mean? I hate that. By the way, if you're watching,
look, I mean, we go through this at the
like
Athletic.
button.
We go through this at the Athletic. I literally just published a story that was 2 years of work, thousands of miles traveled. The outlet realistically invested thousands of dollars in my reporting, and some Bama out there is not going to read it because they're allergic to the idea of setting up a free trial and canceling it potentially, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, that's all it takes. I mean, I could be like, I solved a missing persons case, and someone could just be like, I want to give you my email address.
Yeah,
forget this. You know what I mean? Like,
you want to hear why I didn't read a bunch of Athletic articles after paying for it? We have a Cooligans account. I don't know if I should tell you that because 2 of us are reading it. But anytime I comment on something, it says Christian P. So you know what?
Oh, you got a weapon. You got to weaponize that.
I say whatever the hell I want. It's not going to affect me. You know, kid
You
gets
gotta
arrested at
weaponize
the
that.
airport when he comes
Absolutely.
back from his honeymoon. It's not my fault. You know.
Let's get this dude canceled in the comments on the Athletic. You know, like,
let's go in the comment section. But one of the reasons I used to not read any of it was because if you clicked on the link on Twitter, it would send you to the Twitter browser. And then if you clicked on that, it would send you to the app download. But it was one of the most frustrating things. And for months, I didn't read any Athletic article. I was like, yo, fuck this. I'm not clicking on it until someone told me, no, they fixed it.
Yeah, that was like the number one annoying thing. I mean, it was when I tell you there were like writers at the company, like I was in some Slack channel like once a month, just like this is ridiculous kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it was a good day when they fixed that. Because again, if you set up any obstacle or because everybody's so privileged at this point, that one tiny inconvenience, it's like World War III or something like that. You know what I mean? To press the open an app button. Like,
I'm one of those people. And it was funny too. Rest in peace to Daryl Grove. He emailed, he texted me after I tweeted how frustrating it was. And he was like, you know, if you log in again in the browser, in Twitter, it goes away. And I'm like, do you have any idea what you just asked me to do? Remember a password? No, thank you.
It's ridiculous.
No, thank you. We got a lot of great comments in the chat. Crimson Pizza said, I'm probably the best case scenario. I follow Arsenal and have wanted to get into MLS more, but it's kind of a pain as a cord cutter. I already have Apple TV Plus, and this will be much easier. So there's a positive for the reverse that we've talked about, which probably leads to a point for your side, Pablo, when you mentioned they've probably done the research to say there's probably more people with Apple TV Plus, especially since you get it for free for a year when you buy any Apple product, really. There's probably more people with that than there are flipping through ESPN casually on a Saturday night.
I mean, dude, I hope there's an element of shoulder programming here that, like, I've told DC United's leadership this many times. Like, some team needs to do a drive to survive type thing. But I mean, like a legit one, like all access kind of deal, like that, I think is one of the things that would make MLS much more relevant. Like, look what it did for F1 in the US. Like, I watched F1 since I was like 8, right? But I mean, people only recently in this country have started caring genuinely about it. And a lot of it's because of that Netflix shit, bro. Like, so some MLS team needs to like get over their paranoia about whatever negative stuff they think is going to be out there and just surrender to some producer and say, fine, let's do this whole season, like top to bottom. I mean, look at all these ones that Euro clubs are doing over there. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. Maybe you can see something like that on Apple. Maybe it's a reality show. I don't know. Maybe it's like America's Next Top Midfielder, whatever it would be, like.
There should be a reality show to get the best player without a contract. You know what I mean?
I mean, that sort of existed with that Sueño MLS thing. Right?
Yeah, Sueño MLS.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't, nobody watched it. I don't even think it was on TV, but like.
That was also in 2004.
Yeah, they need to make like, they could really raise the stakes on like the MLS Combine. You know what I mean? Like, have like some side thing there where, I don't know, just like throw a raw steak in the middle of the field and have the dudes fight over it or something. I don't know.
Some Argentinian kid eat somebody's heart out just to eat a steak.
Exactly.
Right. Christian Polanco in the chat, he says, whenever I comment on The Athletic, it says Christian P. People always comment under my comment saying, is this Christian Pulisic? I could get 2 people canceled at once?
Bro, I just got a message. This is brilliant. Brooks Peck, my editor, just in our Slack screenshotted a comment from Christian P that says absolutely stunning work here. Wow. And said, wow, Christian Pulisic loved the story. So
That was me.
That was you. Okay.
That was
all
me.
right.
Hold on. I'm going to say, let me say some wild. Let me put Trump 2024 in the comment.
Do not do not do this. It was triggering for some reason. Oh my God. We will suspend you for that at the Athletic. It is not a free speech zone, okay? Those comments are moderated.
So. By the way, you can't suspend me. You're suspending Christian P.
Christian
you guys decide who that is. Which we got a lot of people congratulating Christian in the chat for his wedding. Congratulations. I can confirm from by getting a ladder and going up to the second floor so I could look in his apartment. Christian is no longer a virgin. Let's go, huh? Come on. We did it, everybody. We did it. Eric Keating says, slap it up. Shouts to Eric Keating, who just got engaged this weekend. Huge shouts to him. He watched Christian get married and decided, I need to also make this mistake. Get in here. Become one of us, buddy. The deal is prejudiced against Samsung and Android users. Can you not get it? I think you can get Apple TV Plus.
No, I thought this was like available on all devices. Yeah, what's prejudiced against Android users is me and like most other people.
No, you know what's prejudiced against Apple Android users is every group chat. We don't want you in there.
Oh yeah, you're trying to send me that like Osama bin Laden proof of life video quality thing where it's trying to send me a video clip and it looks like you're broadcasting from a cave. You know what I mean? Like,
no, thank you.
That's that green.
No, thank you.
You just made this whole chat green. That is disgusting.
Yeah. Also, whenever you double tap to like a comment, you get a text underneath that says, Alexis Guerrero's liked your comment. Ugh.
Yeah.
Apple TV, Android. Let's see what happens. Apple TV has abruptly removed the option to rent or purchase movies through its Apple TV app on Android TV devices.
I thought that. Let me look at that MLS release because I genuinely thought that
there is an app though.
Let's see.
Apple TV is an app on Google Play. You'll be fine.
Here we go. MLS Live and automatic for Apple TV. Let's see. Anyone with internet access, iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple TV 4K, Apple TV HD, Samsung, LG, Panasonic, Sony, TCL, Vizio, and other smart TVs, Amazon Fire, Roku, PlayStation, Xbox, Chromecast, and Comcast Infinity. So basically everything other than Android.
Yeah, I guess you can. Actually, I'm reading it now. You cannot.
That's rough, man. I mean, that's rough.
Well, I guess the 3% of you that have Androids.
Yeah, well, like maybe you have an Android, maybe you also have, I don't know, like an Xbox in whatever mental hospital you're staying in. Like, or just...
Bro, where is how many people are in the Venn diagram of MLS fans and Android users that will switch to Apple because of MLS?
No, I mean, I think people who are married to Android are even more like married to that than like Mac nut job.
Oh,
people.
they've dug dug the trenches.
Exactly. Yeah. Cannot admit failure. I'm just going to keep sending those proof of life hostage videos to the group chat and getting hated on. So,
Hilarious.
Yeah.
If you have a smart TV, you can get it and use it. Yeah, that's what we read. So I guess, now you got to buy a smart TV or a smarter phone. I have an Android TV and I have an Apple TV app, says Mike Spillane. Thank you. Okay, so all right, so that's easy to understand. Whatchamacallit? Bandroid Galaxy Bexus, says Nestor. Absolutely love it. It literally makes me smile every time you guys change something to a B. BlackBerry users. I mean, BlackBerry users.
Shutting up. Don't forget those Windows Phone users, right?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry to break the news to you, but you can't stream this on your Microsoft Zune.
Yeah. It's funny. You brought up Macaholics or whatever it is you said. Mac stands. I had to use a PC for the first time yesterday in probably 6-7 years. I had no idea. The mouse pad didn't work correctly. I didn't know what I was doing.
It's not that bad, bro.
I kept clicking. I'm like, why is only right click popping up? And someone's like, you're clicking on the right click button. I was like, I can't even see the button. And to me, it was the worst. It did feel like I bought a MacBook on wish.com. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, I use a PC at work all the time at the shop, and it's fine,
But that's for like diagnostic shit, though. Like you understand.
No, I mean, I use it too. Like on my toolbox, I have a, for all data or whatever else. I mean, or if I just want to like fuck off at work, yeah, it's PC. Yeah, it's fine.
Which begs the question, and I want to talk to you more about this article. But what is the percentage of your life right now, of work life, between working at a shop and being a journalist?
Oh, it's not. The journalism always comes first. I mean, that's my full-time
Yeah,
job.
but I'm saying, is that like 80%? Like, are you just in the shop for fun, or are you like taking like?
Yeah, it would be like 80, 90% writing and like 10 or like 10% working on cars on the side in off hours. You know what I mean? I'm never like, it's never a thing where I'm like choosing to work on a car instead of writing, because I can't do that. You know
Right,
what I mean?
obviously.
But
Like,
you
what,
know,
are you
man,
mostly
it's one of
working
those
on
things
your
where
own
it's like,
car?
what's that?
Are you mostly working on your own car? Or are you like helping?
I mean, I work on my own cars a lot, but I also like the last shop I worked at, which is a shop in the Northern Virginia suburbs that just works on exotics and stuff. Like, the owner was like, leave your tools here, and the stuff that you're good at, I have a few specialties that the other guys at the shop don't want to touch. I'll call you in whenever, and you can come chip away at it, nights, weekends. I have a key to the place. And then, yeah, it's good for me because I have a huge toolbox and I have my own cars, 4 of them, right? Some projects even don't run well. So it's a place for me to keep those things. You know what I mean? But I mean, if I'm being real with you, Lex, it's like, if you do a job like work on cars for 20 years, you don't just like stop doing it. You know what I mean? It's kind of in your blood a little bit, becomes part of your identity. So, it'd be tough for me to just never do it. That was my intention when I went full time writing. I was like, cool, man, I hang it up, whatever. It just didn't work out that way. So.
Well, what are your thoughts on electric cars?
I would love to have one, man. I mean, I've been looking at, if I could find one, I would consider buying like a Honda Ioniq, the all electric one.
Oh, the Ioniq 5?
Bro, it looks tight as hell, and like,
that shit is fire.
I know, man, but it's also 70 G's. I mean, these things are getting crazy expensive. So
that's the dual motor one, though.
Yeah. So what I'm considering doing, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, is, but that Dodge Rampage I have, that little car truck thing.
You're gonna convert it?
I'm thinking about doing an EV conversion on the Rampage, dude.
You could lay the batteries under the bed.
Yeah, or just in the bed. I don't really haul stuff around with it. I could use like half the bed for batteries, right? And then just get 2 traction motors. I mean, there are companies that sell kits to convert like any car.
Yeah.
Right. And it could still be, the car is already terrifyingly fast right now. It'd be even faster. You know what I mean? Like,
it'd be sick as hell.
Yeah.
You'd have dual motor, front and back?
No, I think I might just do the front wheels. You know what I mean? Like, the way it is now. So like, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I texted you once. I said, hey, yo, my favorite car is the Starion / Conquest.
Yeah. I mean, that's impeccable taste, dude. That is it's fantastic. I'm serious.
It really is one of the greatest cars I've ever been in.
I mean, it speaks to me,
One of my uncle's friends had one, and he did a donut in a parking lot in one. I was like, oh, this thing's a spaceship,
Yeah.
But I've always loved it. But I want to buy one of those and convert it to electric.
Oh, that'd be great. I mean, the project I got now is that it's a Z31 300ZX, like early 80s.
I know, I remember that. Was that Datsun days, right?
Yeah. So
dude, that was one of my dream cars coming up.
Oh yeah, man.
Those are the cars. Those were like the supercars of Newark. You know what I mean?
Right. So
you had like Jetta GLIs, 300ZXs, 280ZXs.
For me, like I would in Boston, it was more like the drug dealer car, and that was the BMW 6 Series.
Oh.
Like the 635 CSI, the shark nose one. That shit was exclusively driven by, like, if you saw it coming in your neighborhood, it was like someone's buying something.
100%. If you saw in my neighborhood, if you saw a BMW Series 6, or if you saw the 850 Ti.
Oh, the two door, those things are worth crazy money now, man. Yeah,
bro. If you saw one of those joints parked, it's over.
Someone's getting killed.
Yo, a hit was put on somebody, and they came to verify you got the right guy.
I mean, the selling point on the Z for me was like digital dashboard. It has a whole voice command system where if the door's open, some robotic woman voice. It's like, door is open. It's like,
what was it? Remember, I'm gonna get you, sucker. The door is ajar. Yeah. The door is ajar. Motherfucker, close the door.
Yeah.
Robin Sagini said, "How old is Alexis anyway? Has anyone ever figured it out? I'm 22 years old, dude. I tell you, I just look like shit. I keep telling you, I just look like absolute garbage.
If I did not know I drank underage with you, that's wild.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Don't tell anyone. And you hit my car when I had the 2 kids in the back. Bro, can you have a 1967 Mustang converted to being electric now? You can, but why would you?
Yeah, I mean, you could do anything, you know.
This is not a car channel. And D is a cougar says Robin Sagini, a woman said that, which is why that's okay. Otherwise, Drew Turo said, "Bimp my ride."
Yeah, man.
Absolute love you. Dodge Ampage. They're saying for some reason you took the R out of it. Is Ampage. Whatchamacallit? The
Yeah, but
Corrigans.
it's electric. It's an electric pun. Amp, like amps, amperes.
Oh,
Dodge
I'm
Ampage.
getting it now.
That's good. I like that,
buddy.
Maybe I could keep the current graphics, just peel the R off.
Or like put the, what is that, like, remember when you would take the sticker off or the letter off, the decal, it would have like the ghost of the letter around it because of the
sign
glue?
scarring.
Yeah, you could have that for the R. That'd be so dope.
I love people who not to, we're getting off the rails here, but like if I could just
Buddy,
take a moment
what
to
rails
rail.
have we been on since we
If
met?
I could just take a moment to rail on people who like have vanity plates that are just the type of, like, it'll be like a Toyota Camry and the license plate says Camry. Like, who the fuck are you people? Like, what is that?
Also, why are you that proud?
It would be incredible to have like a Honda Accord and have a license plate that says Camry or something.
It makes no sense. Why are you that proud to have a Camry to begin with?
Doesn't make sense.
Camry, did you get denied as an Uber driver like 6 times in a row, and then the 7th one you finally got it? I don't get it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on. Although I do have a question for you. What do you think about the used car prices going?
It's wild, man. I mean, I've been tempted to. I've gotten a couple offers on a couple of my cars, and it's just nuts. I mean, like even that Z that I bought, it had not run in 7 years, right, and needed all kinds of work, and it was not cheap. So I mean, like every trash car at this point is selling for an insane amount of money.
It's nuts, dude. The car that I have is a piece of shit. It's a 2013 Ford C-Max. We've talked about it.
Yeah. I mean,
I wanted to convert something electric, and Pablo just goes like, don't do it. Whatchamacallit, it's a hybrid. Thank you very much. Gets 34 miles per gallon. I don't know how it's a hybrid, but whatchamacallit, I just looked it up on Kelley Blue Book. The trade-in value is more than what I paid for it in like 2015.
That's incredible.
It's insane. Anyway, let's get back to a little bit of soccer. If anybody wants to buy, although there was someone put a Ford Escort. There was an old Ford Escort that had it was like a rally version. It had like a British guy's name.
Yeah, Cosworth. Escort Cosworth.
If I could
You're
find
talking about one of the greatest like little handling. I mean, it's a hot hatch. Like,
yeah,
they're incredible.
If I could find one of those, my life would be complete. That and a
Google, like, I think it's Ford RS 200 possibly. It's the one with a weird like whale tail spoiler. Ford RS.
Is that 200. The modern one?
All right, Google Ford RS 200. Look at that. Tell me that's not like one of the hottest cars you've ever seen in your life.
Oh, that is.
Yeah.
This looks like this was the car they wanted to use in Back to the Future.
Yeah, and so they made because it did this rally racing stuff, they had to homologate it, which means they made like 100 for the public market. So they actually exist out there,
That's
I mean, all those rally cars are those like Lancia Deltas and like
the Lancia is the shit, bro. I was really big into rally racing. That's why I got a Subaru.
Like the first gen like Audi Quattros. I mean, all those Polygon cars are incredible,
That's why I got the Subaru WRX, because I was so into rally racing. And then it got stolen 3 times, and the last time they shot bullets out of the trunk. So it got rid of it right away. Toyota Celica. Alexis, can you ask Pablo if he plans to become an owner of Cove Haven in the Poconos in his later retired years? You two could co-invest. Do you know about Cove Haven?
Bro, I mean, I think my Instagram avatar is me in the hot tub, in the champagne glass hot tub there.
I've performed at the Cove Haven.
I believe that based on what I saw. I believe that you did.
It's the saddest gig. It's for everyone who doesn't know. The Poconos was like a romantic getaway, probably in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe.
But man, I went there with my girlfriend, who I'm still with. This was probably about 5 years ago. I'm going to tell you 2 things. One was we got there, took some photos in the hot tub and stuff like that.
By the way, hold on. But before you say, when you walk in, there's a large martini glass, but I guess they don't have the water function working anymore. So they filled it with packing peanuts.
What? Really?
It's just packing peanuts. Those like
Oh, like you're talking about where you do stand up. I'm talking about
they have right when you walk in the lobby, there's a massive martini glass.
Right.
The water it used to have water and be bubbly.
But bro, the rooms have giant champagne glass hot tubs, right? And like,
Yeah, of course.
I will say this: like, you talked about it being romantic. If you walk into those rooms, like, please excuse my French here, but like, the first thing you think about is like, we gotta fuck. Like, it's just
100%.
like, it's like the only reason you're there is I don't care if you've been with some person for like 20 years. Immediately, you're gonna be like in high school again, or like that level of horniness.
If
right?
you walk into there, if someone told you that there's going to be a liaison to settle your divorce case, and it was in that room, and the liaison was late, you'd sleep with each other before the liaison got there. That's how the room looks like a porn set.
Oh, it does. It has, there's steps that go up. There's like a heart-shaped bed. There's a sauna.
Heart-shaped bed. Where are you finding those mattresses? That's why I didn't stay there. I drove home.
So the second thing about it is
with cum. Just
exactly. Right? Just it's like you spray luminol in that room. It's like the sun, right?
You jump in the bed. It's like you hear crunching on the mattress.
All right. So the second thing about that is the second you finish having sex, you're like, we gotta go. We have to leave. We cannot sleep here. I'm not gonna sleep in this heart-shaped, cum-encrusted bed or whatever.
Bro, first of all, it's the only place where you want to have sex naked, but then shower with flip-flops on. The place is disgusting, dude.
Yeah, but I enjoyed my time there. I would go back. It's like, it's a weird place, man. It's a really weird place.
Let me tell you about my show. So they have these like ornate like theaters. They have like 3 or 4 of them where clearly like lounge lizards used to perform in. Like the seats are super cushy. The tables are molded in. Everything's like covered in like.
Bro, this was a big place back in the day. Like all these places were.
I could see like Sinatra performing there. Like these places are elaborate, but very past its date. Not been well taken care of. It's amazing, right? Like I think Pablo went there like thinking it would be abandoned, and there were people at the lobby desk, so you couldn't take pictures. You had to stay there. So they give you $200 to perform for an hour, which is nothing.
Okay.
But if you're willing to only take $150, they'll give you a room for the night.
Oh.
So the thing is, there's the performers' rooms, which are very barren. It's in like the newer building, but it's not ornate. Or you could get one of the suites if you tell them you're bringing a significant other. They'll give you one of the suites. And it's essentially like a fuck palace for people with bad knees. It's like people who remember this being dope. It's horrific. And someone said venue for Cooligans Con. That actually might be one of the greatest ideas of all time.
I like that a lot.
Nicole Arias. Holy shit. We got to do something. I mean, I'm not telling you. The people the next morning will be sharing stories of how itchy they are from the beds. The place is so weird.
I wonder if there's a way can I share my screen? Because I have pulled up here.
I mean, I might be able to do it.
No, hold on. I think I can do it. Never mind. I'll describe it. So some years ago, I was going to do, after I stayed there, I was like, let me do a story on this place. And I found the original U.S. patent for the champagne glass hot tub, right?
Of course you would.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, hold on. For those of you who tune into a soccer show, hit the like button. Because this is so far an incredible show. And Christian is probably flipping out in the Delta Lounge right now.
So this was filed in 1985, which is later than I would have thought. It's a 14-year patent, and like it's written in that like professional language, like the design X is for the enjoyment of blah blah blah, which is hilarious. But then I fell down a rabbit hole with this guy Morris B. Wilkins, who is the guy who he also invented the heart-shaped bathtub. And like I think the New York Times in like the 80s did an interview with him, and he was like, they were like, why did you invent the bathtub? And literally his answer was like, there was a lot of action in the bedroom, and I wanted some action in the bathroom too.
Morris B. Wilkins.
Exactly, my man, Morris. Like,
dude, put it back in your pants, Morris.
Right. I mean, to be clear, again, I am MLS's target audience for the streaming deal Saturday nights because I'm sitting here finding U.S. patents for champagne glass hot tubs.
Very much so. By the way, people are saying a lit idea for a convention, a weekend of soccer and comedy, says Lex. I paid $200 to $300 for that weekend aside from the cost of stay. This might be something we need to figure out.
Bro, you should look at Cove Haven. It's like it's in between DC and New York and other cities and like.
Oh, I know it. We're talking about
that's
Cove
what I'm
Haven
saying.
right
I mean, I would go. You know what I mean? Like,
bro, we could do comedy, soccer, car show,
orgy.
okay?
Not with me. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Y'all let me know how that goes. Yeah. Christian Polanco, we're talking about Rebel Arena, I swear. D-Stu just tuned in at Fuck Palace, says Christian Polanco. Welcome to the show without you, Christian. We're simply talking about Cove Haven, which I think you've done. I'm pretty sure you've also performed at Cove Haven. Do we get pizza at the convention? We might have to invite up some New York pizza shops. This could be a real
This
fun
thing's coming
weekend.
together. It's ridiculous.
This could be a real fun weekend. Comedy, soccer, pizza, car show, possibly orgy, up to you. You know,
maybe during the day we have like an abandoned style field trip where I take everybody to like one of these abandoned resorts. We go through there.
Let's
a couple
all
people get
dysentery.
arrested. A couple people get tetanus. You know.
Yeah, let's
It'd be a good
all
time.
take a picture of a guy hiding under a sink and not realize it until after we left.
God, man.
Which is
Still
one of my
terrified
favorite.
me to this day.
Pizza, and I'll bring Malort, says Nicole Hack. You know what, Nicole? You might have been onto something this whole time. This might be genius. How am I going to sell this to Christian when he gets back? I have no clue.
I'm fairly sure that Cove Haven, I hope Cove Haven has an Apple Plus subscription because we're going to be streaming some MLS games there
Or
too.
you know what? We're not going there. We're not doing it.
The thing about Cove Haven is like streaming. We have tube televisions at the bar. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like
hilarious.
Yeah.
Someone says special guest, Men in Blazers. We'll give them the name of a different address.
Send them to that abandoned, the abandoned, you know.
Yeah. We'll send him an Uber, and it's Pablo and an electrified Ampage. Today's show evolution: the Cooligans, the Cargans, the Cumigans. What's next? I don't want to know. Look. I only have you for a few more minutes, so I do want to talk a little bit about. Speaking of orgies, Wee Willie.
Okay, yeah.
Wee Willie.
I don't even know what that means. All right.
Well, Wee Willie, come on now. Everybody.
I see.
If you have to explain it, it's not funny. Hit the like button. There's 72 of you watching. Please hit the like button because there's only 24 of you who've hit the like button. But and if you're listening and you're like, I can't hit the like button, leave a positive review or join the Patreon. That'd be so dope of you.
I just hit the like button.
Very
you
nice.
Like me. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we got one more, baby. The king of segues, Spike Spillane. Whatever, we here now. Let's talk about B. Billy, Wee Willie McLean. You talked a little bit about what inspired you to write it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give up too much of the story, but
I think we can dive a little far into it if you want. It's fine. Yeah.
But I don't want to go crazy. But one of the things that I like about it is it reminds me of that documentary that I saw of the guy who was trying to figure out, does doping help you win the Tour de France? And then next thing you know, he uncovers, Russian doping scandals. It's like right when I thought the article was going to be over, it felt like I look over and I realize, I'm halfway done. And this takes a pretty wild turn. One of the things is the player seemingly disappeared, and he did because he basically left and changed his name.
Yeah, so the background here, this guy was on the 34 U.S. World Cup team and just vanishes in 1938. And it turns out this guy, Wee Willie McLean, has a daughter who's still alive. She's 91. And shockingly enough, she's like willing to talk to me at length and willing to participate in all this. So, I interviewed her and she said, yeah, this dude literally told my mom he was going out for a pack of cigarettes and never came back. It's like the old thing you hear about deadbeat dads or whatever. It's like a figure of speech, but it actually happened.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, they're making this up. I thought that was going to be like the reveal. I thought like the wife killed him or something.
No. So he bounced. He sort of like he ran from his family, unbeknownst at the time to them, and to everybody else. I mean, like he'd had like all these head injuries from playing soccer. He had to share like mental issues. He wasn't a stable person. He ends up running away. And at that point, he's dead to the world, right? I mean, like all these soccer administrators, all these other people are looking for him. They never find him. Even in the 90s or 2000s, the St. Louis Soccer Hall of Fame would have these dinners. And I found like a newsletter from one of these things where they were talking about him and like nobody knew what happened to him. He just vanished, right? So it turns out, again, without giving too much away, the guy changes his name and moves to Davenport, Iowa, has another nervous breakdown, starts a whole ass other family. I mean, it's like you said, the whole story just spirals, right? And like we were able to get, because his daughter participated, for example, Willie McLean, his mental health records from the state-run asylum in Iowa miraculously just still existed 80 years later on microfiche, right? And his daughter signed a release for it. So, you know, in those mental health records, and we have like all these just, it's like Willie's life story in excruciating detail. You know, there's an interview with him, interview with his wife at the time. Like, it's one of those things that just like has so many tentacles that reach out in so many directions, and you know, so many things that are still like relevant today: mental health, you know, head trauma, just family bullshit that, you know, every family has a secret like this, and maybe not quite like this, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, there's always some shit. It's like I frequently think about me approaching these people and talking to them and them divulging all this stuff. Just, you know, what if in 40 years somebody came to me and was like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about like your cousin Laura or something like that," and it turns out that X, Y, and Z. I mean, it's just wild, you know. So
I mean, one of
yeah,
the
go
biggest
read it.
things for
Please
me,
go read it and subscribe if you don't, even if you cancel a trial. It's
even
like,
it's honestly incredible. I mean, I couldn't wait to get to the bottom of the article and click the green character, because it asks you at the bottom of every athletic character, "Hey, what'd you think of the article? What'd you think of this?" And it was like, "I hated it. I liked it. I loved it. I loved it." It was the part that was so intriguing is, and maybe I don't know if you thought of this as well, but there were so many parallels to the Aaron Hernandez
yeah.
story. It was so many, like, just this idea of like all the head trauma, and it kind of in the article it alludes a lot to it in the beginning, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm starting to see some foreshadowing
Yeah.
here." But it kind of gave me so many parallels of like, you know, just the trouble someone goes through when they have this much head trauma in sport. And back then it was just like, no, whatever, you know, oh, he's having a bad day, you know.
Right,
It's
right.
such
I
a weird
remember
way to
seeing a
handle it.
clip from like the 70s. There's an English manager, and he called it like footballer's head or something like that. It was like, oh my gosh, it's just exactly. It's like you laugh about that, but at the same time, it's like that's the level of ignorance that existed. You know, Jess in the comments who says I gave the twist away. I mean,
I'm the one who gave it away, she said.
yeah, there's so much more to that story, man. I mean, it's like I'm not
Bro.
even scratching the surface on it, you
The
know.
John
But
Carl
yeah, I mean,
Tritt
it's
said, John Carl Tritt says, "Deadbeat dad, Alexis having Maradona flashbacks."
no, like
Again, Maradona is my dad. Everyone remember that. He had children in Cuba. Gotta be
it's
him.
yeah, it's. I mean, what I would say, dude, is that it's like yeah, the about the Aaron Hernandez thing and about like his head trauma, kind of explaining his mental illness. I mean, it's just one of those things, man, where like people want to make most things black or white. You know, people would be, I mean, Matt and I struggle with it right in the piece where it's like, shit, how do we like convey the complexity of this guy's life and experience when he did like some really reprehensible things? But on the other hand, it's like you can't discount all this other stuff. These interceding circumstances, the fact that he was sort of like forgotten to the world in these mental hospitals. I mean, like if you if you if you learn enough about any one person, you're going to find your view on them probably softens. And like I think we wrote in the piece that if you spend enough time, like years of your life laboring, you know, sort of like working and researching one person, you probably start like laboring under the delusion that you understand them or that they're like you a little bit. And that definitely happened with Willie, man. It's complicated, you know.
I
It's
think it's
like
like anything else. I think this is one of the things that I also try to achieve when I'm on stage, telling like a bit of a story. You know, like I try to make it or say it in a way. Obviously, you know, it most important for me is funny, but the underlying part of that is I hope that the person listening wonders, would I have made that same decision had it be me? You know what I mean? Or what
yeah,
would I do if I were in those shoes? That's what I hope happens, you know? But I think one of the powers of the way you tell a story as well, and someone just said it, Robin Sagini said, "Oh, I plan to. I love Pablo's investigative stories." Uh, which we'll call it, because Alexander Abno said, "Hi, everyone. To reiterate, please read the story. Otherwise, the last 2 years will have been meaningless."
yeah, it's true, man. I
um,
really I just want to come back to that for a second. Like the story doesn't exist without the outlet cutting a check, without Alex and Brooks giving me no exaggeration, literal weeks, months on end to do the really hard work of, you know, like had over 100 interviews, you know, going through public records requests, like driving to Iowa twice, driving to St. Louis. Like these things cost money at companies, you know what I mean? So like really honestly, if you don't subscribe, just give us one a chance. And you know, I think you're gonna like a lot everything else you see at the site. But like I never do the sales pitch, but this is the one story, man, where like go support it, honestly, because it's I guarantee you it'd be the most fucked up, crazy soccer story you read this year, maybe the
Look,
next few years. So
I can tell you that I do not read. Okay, I
yeah,
purposely
you physically cannot read.
I stay away from it as much as possible. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
promise you when I tell you, as much as I did not have time to do it earlier, and you could see because the show started late, I absolutely read every word of this article. It was intriguing from the first word to the last. It was absolutely incredible. And honestly, I can't wait for the documentary or for the movie that's going to come from this because it's so dope. It's just another one of those stories where, look, I could care less what happens to a fountain, but I was so intrigued by it. Like, this
yeah.
is crazy. And I also just think about like these nice people in Iowa who have their day interrupted by a tattooed, long haired Spaniard who's from DC pulling up in an 87 Corvette. And what
Oh
I
yeah,
assume is a mink. I assume you showed up in a mink.
yeah, yeah. There was, I mean, what you're saying is really funny. There was definitely a cultural kind of clash to all this, and like
You don't say.
now, yeah, I mean, I just like I feel genuinely like blessed that I just wrote that Constance, who's Willie's granddaughter. I just wrote her an email and sent her the story this morning, and I said I feel so genuinely blessed that our lives and families intersected, and that like you were so open to this, right? Because like that's the other thing, bro, is like the mental health records. You read the story, you saw how big of a chunk of our research that
Yeah.
was. We don't get those unless like Willie's daughter is just open to this, and it's like I don't know. I mean, like, I think a lot of that is because of my incredible people skills, and I, sort of
It's
like
your
made this
charm.
feel
It's your
exactly
charm.
whatever, but
Your charm disarms us all, much like hitting the button on a key fob. See,
yeah,
I brought
just
it back to cars.
charm the pants off that 88-year-old woman in St.
Wearing
Louis.
Vans. Am I
Yeah,
allowed to say that? That was shocking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
She
Styling,
knew you were
right?
coming, dude. She was like, I think I can get one last one. The David Meyer said the Bathletic has some amazing stories. I agree. Check out the
What is the deal
Bathletic.
with this B
You
thing?
know
Is it
what?
like saying Pessy, like Ronaldo? Is this the
Kinda.
same?
I'll explain it
Right,
after.
right.
I've explained it on the show like 6 times already.
Okay,
But I'll explain it to you after. Or maybe I'll just leave it open and you don't know why people are calling you Pablo Matt Blauer.
that's fine, dude. People massacre my name constantly. It's okay.
Whatchamacallit? First of all, where can people follow you? I'm sure everyone knows, but where can people follow you?
MLS ist on Twitter, Pablo Maurer, my name on Instagram. But most importantly, like I said, go subscribe and go read Wee Willie, and then
That's it.
search for all my other stuff. I think if you like that story, you'll like the other stuff. If you don't, go fuck yourself.
I
You know.
believe
So,
you. I believe you tweeted out the article. So if you
I
click
did.
on that,
I
if
did.
you click on that link and you're not a member, start the free trial. Go check it out. It's absolute. I honestly, I can't explain to you enough. I do not read. I don't care to read. I've done it before.
You
Not a
said that
fan.
like you said that like 10 times, like you're embarrassed by the idea of reading or something.
No,
Like,
no, no, no. I'm just letting people know that if I'm telling you this is a good article, that means it's a great article. Okay, because I really don't. I don't waste my time. I don't even read nutrition labels. You know what I mean? I try to stay away from it. Nestor says he'll explain it. I absolutely love you guys. Thank you for everyone for sticking around. I know we started a few minutes late. You guys are the absolute best. If you haven't already, hit the like button, share this out. That would be dope. Join the Patreon. We got some cool stuff. Oh, maybe we'll get some honeymoon content on the Patreon. That'd be dope. We'll get some cool stuff going on there. Not what you're thinking of. They're not staying at Cove Haven. You know what I mean?
right.
And maybe we'll plan this. Maybe we'll make it a gully squad event over at Cove Haven. That would be so dope.
I'm there. I'm there.
And Pablo will be there. You already know one of the guests. Thank you, everyone. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, do all those things you're supposed to do. Thank you for sticking around. Love you guys. All right. Done.
Good.